Hey guys, what's going on? We're gonna do a week one recap, and I'm gonna start in reverse order of the game. So with the Broncos and Chargers, the Broncos almost blew this game, but I thought both teams played really well. The Broncos offense actually impressed me. Um, the Chargers offense looked pretty good too. I don't necessarily think that they had a bad game on defense. It's just the Broncos played really efficiently. It was just a good game to watch, really. For the Saints and the Vikings looked really good on both sides of the ball. We knew the defense was going to be good. Dalvin Cook looks amazing. 22 carries, 127 yards. He is definitely the future of that franchise. The Saints, on the other hand, of course, we know their defense really isn't that great. They got torched in the air. They got torched on the ground. Bradford threw for 346, 3 touchdowns. Only 5 incompletions, so that's pretty amazing. The Saints are definitely going to have to step up their game against New England next week. Cowboys Giants looked terrible. The defense was really good, and if I was those guys, I would be screaming at the offense because they did not back them up at all. I mean, they only gave up 19 points to the Cowboys, which is pretty damn good, actually. But they're going to have to find somebody on offense without OBJ because they can't rely on just him. He's going to get double teamed pretty much every game. Panthers 49ers. The 49ers aren't any good. I didn't really watch this game. I will say I'm a little bit surprised that McCaffrey didn't really produce as much as I thought he may have, especially against a weak 49ers team. They ran the ball with McCaffrey just about as many times as they did with Jonathan Stewart. So, I mean, if that's going to be a timeshare, he's not really going to produce as much as I thought he would. But Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt certainly looked a lot better because they got more touches. For the Seahawks and Packers, Seahawks kind of in the same boat as the Giants, really just no offense. I know for a fact the Packers defense is not that good. Um, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty decent day, with 300 plus yards and a touchdown, but nothing really spectacular. Ty Montgomery only had 54 yards on 19 carries, which is not a great average at all. I mean, the Seahawks defense played pretty well. I thought some of those penalty calls were pretty BS, but that doesn't change the fact the Seahawks couldn't score and that their offensive line is about as bad as I thought it would be. So they let Russell Wilson get sacked way too many times. They're going to have to fix that really quickly. Okay, Colts Rams. Man, the Colts looked really bad. I mean, part of that is obviously they don't have Andrew Luck and Scott Tolzien is terrible, but that Rams defense really took it to them. Jared Goff had a pretty good game, only 8 incompletions, 21 of 29 for 306 and a touchdown. Looked pretty solid, but again, this is the Colts defense, so I'm calling that still suspect until proven. So we'll see how they do next week. Let's see. With the Eagles and the Redskins, still feel like the Redskins kind of got robbed at the end there. No guarantee they would have turned it around or anything, but that play, that fumble recovery for the touchdown definitely was not the right call in my opinion. It looked pretty clear that his arm was going forward. But enough about that. I really think the Redskins are going to be able to turn it around. I don't think Cousins really had a too bad of a game, but it wasn't a great game either. I think they really need to get the run game going a little bit better. The Eagles, on the other hand, look solid from both angles. Their defense looks really good, and their offense was clicking. Wentz with 307 and 2 touchdowns had a pretty good game. So I feel like the Eagles could potentially be one of the best teams in the NFC if they keep playing like that. Raiders and Titans. I think this is probably one of the better matchups of the day. The Titans really didn't put up as many points as I thought they would. I thought this would be like, high 30s, just back and forth kind of shootout. But the Raiders defense did a pretty good job of stopping them, and the Raiders offense, they drove the ball up and down the field pretty consistently. Derek Carr had a solid day. Marshawn Lynch looked vintage. The Raiders were just the better team. They just played better. I still expect the Titans to bounce back. I believe next week they get Jacksonville, but that should be a little bit more interesting now that we saw how Jacksonville played. Jaguars and Texans. Again, the Texans have zero offense. Benching Tom Savage was probably a good thing. They really need to get Deshaun Watson in there because he's going to be the future, and he's the guy that's going to be able to make the plays. The Jaguars' defense, though, looked really good, just about as good as I thought they would. All those offseason additions really showed to pay off, at least in this game. Leonard Fournette looked like a beast, averaged about 4 yards a carry for 26 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. He's definitely going to be leading that team throughout the season, especially with Allen Robinson getting hurt. They don't want Blake Bortles throwing the ball anyways, so I expect him to definitely put up some big numbers this year. Lions and Cardinals. Cardinals really disappointed me. I mean, part of that is obviously David Johnson got hurt, and now he's out for several months from what I've heard. That's not good. They're definitely going to lose a lot more games now without David Johnson. It's just not going to be the same team. Teams don't have to key on him as much anymore, so they're really missing a threat. The Lions played a lot better. Matt Stafford with 4 touchdowns. Definitely lived up to that new contract he just got, so he's still pretty good. I'm not sure they'll be able to keep it up against better competition, but we'll just have to wait and see. Steelers and Browns, man, the Browns really made this one interesting. I think this is a really down game for the Steelers because 21 points is really not that great, and I don't think the Browns defense is that good. And I believe 7 of those points was on a blocked punt return for a touchdown, so they really only scored 14 on offense, and they hardly gave Bell the ball at all. I think he carried the ball maybe 10 times. Really don't understand why Bell didn't get that many touches. Doesn't really make much sense to me. But Antonio Brown led the way with 11 catches, 182 yards, but they still almost lost the game. So I'm really interested to understand why. I don't think the Browns really played that well. I feel like the Steelers played pretty badly, but hopefully that's not an indication for later on. Ravens and Bengals. Boy, the Bengals look bad. Andy Dalton with 4 interceptions, probably his worst game of his career by far. There's just not much good to say about them. I mean, the defense played pretty solidly considering the Ravens. I'm pretty sure only one of their touchdowns. I think Terrence West was the only passing. No, Jeremy Maclin got the other one. They didn't really do that much on offense, but the Ravens defense definitely looked really good. Despite the injuries and stuff on their offense. Joe Flacco didn't really pass the ball that much, so I'm assuming they're going to be relying on the running game and the defense because the offense altogether really is not going to put up that many points if he's not healthy. Jets and Bills. Bills, LeSean McCoy leads the team, same old. 22 carries, 110 yards, and the Jets are bad. And that's newsflash. Water's wet. I still don't think the Jets are going to win a game this year. I'd be really surprised. They might steal one against the Browns or something, but that's pretty debatable. Falcons and Bears. Now, I know everybody's thinking, why did Atlanta only win by 6? Well, and the Bears almost won that game. They had first and goal with about 30 seconds left, and they had 4 straight passing attempts and did not convert. 2 drops in the end zone. So they really should have won the game. Calm down. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, basically our entire coaching staff has been completely redone. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, several new lines coordinators. I mean, the team's still going to have to, learn. Even though the players are still there, the schemes are going to be different. We ran the ball a lot more than I've seen us run it in this game. That could just because the defense, the Bears' defensive backs are really good. I tried to tell people that the Bears are a little bit underrated. I think people are kind of putting them off when they're really not that bad, at least the defense. Mike Glennon looked pretty solid. The running game was there. But for the Falcons, we really didn't throw the ball downfield as much as I thought, at least compared to last year where we, chunk it down the field at least once a drive. Didn't really happen that often. But Matt Ryan had a solid game. We really didn't make any mistakes, so I'm satisfied. I didn't really expect to win only by 6, but I'll take it. A W is a W. And finally, of course, I get to bring up the Chiefs and the Patriots again, because bringing up the Patriots' loss is my favorite thing to do. The Patriots are injured, and the defense looked terrible. We're talking about letting Alex Smith, the guy who's known for check down passes, throw for 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions against this defense. Alex Smith couldn't even throw for those numbers against the Browns. I mean, it was absolutely a pitiful performance all around. And of course, Tom Brady couldn't get anything going because the Chiefs actually have a defense. So, I mean, if this is an indication of the Chiefs in 2017, if they run their offense like they did in this game and they're more aggressive, the Chiefs are going to be a very difficult team to stop. They finally have some weapons on their team with Hunt, who's going to emerge as I'm not going to call it too early, but he could definitely be the offensive rookie of the year with the numbers that he put up. Tyreek Hill had a great game with 133 yards, 7 catches, and a touchdown. I mean, they still have Travis Kelce. They have Charcandrick West. The offense definitely has some weapons on it this time. And of course, the defense. Losing Eric Berry is a huge, huge loss. I think he's out for the season, and that's really terrible. But they've got plenty of guys. I think they'll be okay, but it's definitely going to hurt them a little bit. But looking forward to next week, I believe my favorite matchup of the whole week is the Eagles and the Chiefs. That matchup looks pretty good on paper to me. 2 really good defenses. Why is this not loading? My apologies, my PC wasn't loading. The Chiefs and the Eagles, we're talking about 2 pretty solid defenses, pretty good offenses, at least from last week. This is going to be a really exciting game. Definitely the best looking game on the slate, at least for the daytime. I guess you could say New England and New Orleans. I mean, that does look pretty good on paper, but with the way they played this past week, I'm not really sure what to expect from them, from either one of them, really. Tennessee and Jacksonville could be a pretty solid game. If the Jacksonville defense versus the Tennessee offense, that's a pretty solid looking matchup. It should be a lot of fun. Dallas and Denver, that's definitely going to be interesting to see if Simeon can put up the kind of numbers that he did against the Chargers yesterday. And of course, Dallas has full strength with Prescott and Elliott and all that. It'll be interesting to see Elliott versus the Denver defense. Definitely a nice matchup there. And of course, Green Bay and Atlanta on Sunday night. Definitely looking forward to it. I expect Atlanta's offense to play a lot better than they did against Chicago. I know the Green Bay defense is not that good. I definitely don't think we'll blow them out like we did in the playoffs, but this is definitely going to be an exciting game. We're opening our new stadium, so this will be the first home game. We'll be fired up. The defense will definitely be ready. I can assure you of that. It'll definitely be a good game. So that's the recap for week 1 and slight preview for week 2.